Hi everyone, good morning. I'm Rosemary Benson Freyden and I'm from Dominican Republic. This is a Hartford Heritage Project of the learning community of ESL 157, 153 and Visual Communication. This semester we have been learning about the history of Hartford, most exactly about G. Fox and Beatrice Fox Auerbach. We are happy to have two wonderful ladies. They are Mrs. Lorraine Demilla and Amy Lemire with us to share some experiences that they had in this building. My co-hosts are Manuel and Lana.
Hello. Hello.
Welcome, Miss Amy. Welcome, Miss Lorraine.
Hello.
Thank you.
Well,
My
Thanks
name
for
is
having
Manuel
us.
Vasquez, and I come from Colombia. Thank you for being part of our project, Memories of GFAX. Miss Amy, can you give us some background information about yourself?
Sure. I've worked at Capital Community College for 15 years now. When we moved to the downtown campus, I moved on to the second floor to enrollment services, and it was kind of ironic because I had worked on the second floor in career sportswear at G. Fox. That was back in 1980. I have 3 children, grown children, and I'm very happy to be here today. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. What about you, Miss Lorraine?
yes, I came to G. Fox in 1957. At Christmas time, they were looking for help, and I was so happy to come, and I was hired, and I worked in the lingerie department. And then they did ask me to stay on, so I was happy for that too. And I stayed on, and I've been here until they closed. I've stayed all those years.
Thank you, Miss Lorraine.
And now my
Hi, my name is Svetlana. I come from Ukraine, and for the past 3 months, we have learned about the GFAX building, its employers, the legendary customer service, and especially about Beatrice Auerbach. Today, we have the great opportunity to meet 2 ladies who had worked at GFAX. Miss Lorraine and Miss Amy, I would like to ask you, how did you get your job at GFAX? Did you find the job announcement, or were you recommended?
I was told they were hiring, and I needed a job at that time. My son was just a little boy, but he was in school, and he did go to school down here in Hartford. And I was able to come on the bus with him, bring him to school, and then come to work. And so I came into the store to fill out an application, and they hired me and for the Christmas help. But then they asked me if I would like to stay on, and I was very happy to do that. I loved working here.
Thank you. How about you?
I had a similar experience. I had graduated high school and I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. And there was an ad in the Hartford Courant that they were hiring for Christmas help. So I said, well, I might as well, I have to do something. I have car insurance and whatnot. So I applied and I was hired, and I too stayed. I stayed an additional 1.5 years after that. So that is how I got here.
Thank you. My next question is, in which department did you work at GFAX?
Initially, I worked in career sportswear, which was on the second floor. From career sportswear, I then moved to the West Farms Mall, and I worked in the juniors department.
Thank you. And what were your responsibilities at GFAX?
You're asking me? Oh, well, I worked as a sales associate, and they trained us how to approach people and how to, not keep after them, but to show them the merchandise they were looking for. And then we would give our number out because we didn't want to stay right behind them. People like to browse. So when they were ready to pick out clothes, they'd give it to us, and we'd take them into the fitting room, and we'd keep going back to see if they needed another size, and that's what we did.
Thank you. How about?
Yeah, I mean, that was my experience as well. There were a number of associates in every department. You usually worked with at least 4 other people in your department, and the customer service was amazing. It really was. So you know, we would wait on customers. We would obviously cash them out. Always, you know, took care of them the way that they expected to be taken care of. Probably not like today when you go into the big box stores. You have to go search for somebody. There was always somebody right there who could help you. It was amazing.
Thank you.
For Mrs. Lorraine, what was it like to work at GFOS?
What brought me here?
Yes.
Well, it was such a beautiful store. And I was amazed to be hired. I was so happy about it, and I felt always so good to come to work. I loved every day of it. I really did. It was a special store. There wasn't any other store around like it.
Was so unique, right?
Yes, yes it was.
Well, and for you, Miss Amy, what was your experience? Because you worked before at GFox, but at the same time, you after start to work in the same building, but with different proposed, right?
Yeah, it was kind of funny because when I got down here, I didn't know where I was going to be working, and when I found out I was on the second floor and pretty much in the same area as Career Sportswear, that was kind of funny. You know, we would joke about that. And it was many years later, to come back down here. Obviously, the building looks different. There's still an opulence about it. The store was amazing, as Lorraine says, and there was nothing like it. Nothing.
Okay. For Mrs. Lorraine, do you have any interactions with Beatrice Fox Auerbach?
Well, I did have once a year on your birthday, she would have, we had an employee's cafeteria, and she would, on our birthday, she would gather us at the employee's cafeteria, and there was a big round table with beautiful linen tablecloth and napkins, and she would sit at the head of the table, and then she would go around asking us different questions, you know, how we liked our job, why did we come to GFox to work, and all those similar questions.
Okay, and Mrs. Lorraine, again, what were your impression of her? Because we are reading a book, and the book says that sometimes when she had to be, you know, very hard with the employees, she was, you know, but when she was kind, she was as well.
Yes, she was very kind. She was a real businesswoman, but she would greet you, but always on a status, you know.
Okay, okay.
And we didn't see her too much,
Okay.
but she was nice to us. We did like working for her.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Miss Amy? Because maybe you heard about some.
Yeah, you know,
About her, no?
there wasn't a lot of talk about Beatrice when I was there.
Oh, okay.
I guess that was in a time where they were transitioning, and the May Company took over. So you would see things, you know, some of the things you see when you walk through the building, pictures and whatnot, you would see those things, but nobody really talked about her. You know, I didn't have that type of experience. Lorraine and I were talking when we were coming in, and as we were standing at the elevator, Lorraine asked me if the mezzanine was still here. And I showed her the piece that we have in our lobby and then the piece across the way. And she said once in a while Beatrice would come to the mezzanine and address the employees. We never had that in 1980 through 82.
Okay. Thank you so much, both.
I have a question to Miss Lorraine.
Yes.
What do you think about Beatrice's management style?
Oh, I thought she was a great businesswoman. The store would never have the great name it had if it wasn't for her. She just knew how to react with the managers and the buyers, and she was great. That's all I can say about her. I have nothing. She was always great.
Thank you. And what kind of relationship did she have with employees? Maybe you heard, maybe...
Well, like Amy said, we didn't see her that often, but we often had, the buyers took care of us and the managers. Of course, it was from the upper, you know, from Mrs. Auerbach, but we never reacted with her at all. She just used to come to the mezzanine when she had something special to tell us, and we'd all gather on the main floor. And even at Christmas time, she'd be all dressed in red, and she'd wish us all a very Merry Christmas. But otherwise, one-on-one, we never did.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Miss Amy, did you hear something about Beatrice management style when you were working?
No, like I said, the transition had already taken place. So it was big corporate at that point. So we never heard anything about her management style. Yeah.
Thank you.
I have two more questions for you. We read that Mrs. Auerbach was very civic-minded. Did she encourage employees to volunteer in the community? What about you, Ms.
Yes.
Lorraine?
Well, we had the community chest, which was a big deal for her. We had a certain goal to meet. She would we would receive a pledge card, and we'd have to pledge so much money, and they would take it out of our pay every week. And then at the entrance door, there'd be a big sign telling how much we were reaching our goal, and she kept us informed that way. Yes.
What about you, Ms. Amy?
No, like I said, I was past the time of Beatrice Auerbach, and so we didn't, they were more concerned about making money for the corporation. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Ms. Lorena and Ms. Amy, can you tell us what was the Christmas season at GFAX?
Oh, that was my favorite. About a month before Christmas, all the displays were being put up, and it was so beautiful. There was holly and red bows and red balls put all around the columns of the store, and then the store windows were all decorated. We had carolers that came in singing Christmas songs, and it was so exciting. It was really. And then you saw all the new merchandise coming in, the sparkly dresses, and we were so excited.
Every employee felt like a little kid, right?
Yes, really.
Okay.
What about you, Ms.
Yeah,
Amy?
it was beautiful, and at that point, for my time at GFOX, the mezzanine was filled with Christmas stuff. That's where you bought your ornaments. That's where they had all the trees displayed. But throughout the store, I mean, it was a very festive environment. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And now our classmates have some questions for you.
Hi, my name is Lady Trejos. I'm from Panama. I'm glad that you are here with us today. I have 3 questions for you. My first question for both of you. Can you tell us about your experience as a woman working at the Fox?
Why don't you take that, Lorraine?
Okay, I felt very good, and I felt treated very nicely, and I just loved working here. I don't, they treated us great.
And my second question is for Lorraine. As a sales associate, did Miss Auerbach put more pressure on you to sell?
Oh yes, we did have to sell, or we wouldn't get a raise. So every 6 months we were brought into the manager's office, and he'd tell you how much you sold. And if it wasn't too good, you wouldn't get a raise. But otherwise, I did get 5 cents raise every so often. Then once I got 10 cents, I thought I was doing so great. But we did have to sell, yes.
Talking about that, were sales associates able to move up to the management level, and what kind of qualification did someone have to become a manager?
Well, they mostly had a college degree, and they did come in with experience usually, but if somebody worked on the floor, they did have a chance to go up the ladder.
Good morning. My name is Otto Laule. I come from Peru. I have a couple questions for you. This question is to both of you. What was the dress code for the employees?
When I first came, it was either a black dress or a navy dress. And then about 2 years later, they added gray and brown. So we were always buying jewelry and scarves to kind of pep up the dark colors. But I'm still with black. I love it.
What about
Yeah,
you?
you know, in 1980, you had to dress appropriately. You couldn't come in jeans.
Oh, no.
You know, you had to have a skirt or dress pants. And yeah, I mean, they didn't necessarily say you had to. Like Lorraine was used to wearing almost like a uniform
Yes.
with the brown, the black, the gray dress. But we knew we had to dress appropriately. No pants below the underwear line for
No.
sure.
I just had one experience to tell you. I came in with the wrong color one day. I either had to go home or buy a new dress. So I bought the new dress.
This question is for both of you. Were women and minorities give more support, and did they receive special privilege?
Are you asking?
Oh.
I think we were treated very good. I mean, there was nothing against anybody, you know, whether they were white, black, or what. She was very good about that.
We are asking those questions about women because at that time, you know, the women's were more to be at home with the kids, preparing meals, you know, and the men were out working because they were the strong of the house, you know what I mean?
Right.
And we want to see the difference at that time with the woman, you know, because today we can do both, work and have kids and all kind of stuff, but at that time was different because the women was for more to be at
It
home.
was. I had to come to work, then I'd go home, make the dinner, and then wash the dishes, and then maybe sometimes prepare another dinner for the next day so I could just heat it up. But then I had to do ironing for the next day and iron my husband's shirt. And my little son, he went to a Catholic school, so he always wore a shirt too. And we didn't have dryers at that time, but we did have washing machines, which was a great help. And the ironing board in the iron.
What about you, Miss Amy? Was
Oh.
different or the same?
Well, first of all, I was 18 years old,
Oh, okay.
so I had no family obligations. I was quite self-centered at that point. So yeah, it didn't really affect me like it would Lorraine in the earlier days.
Okay,
In the
thank you.
50s.
In the 50s, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my last question is to Mr. Lorraine. We read that Mrs. Auerbach inspected the counters wearing a white glove. Did you witness? If she found dust, what were the consequences?
Well, I never witnessed that, but she did do that. And then she would go to the manager of that department, and the manager would get her associates together and make sure they kept after the counters in the department, keep it up. Otherwise,
Good morning. My name is Yasmin Coloma. I come from Puerto Rico, and I have some questions for both of you. My first question is, what kind of benefits did employee have? Ms.
well,
Lorraine?
we had medical benefits, and we did have 2 nurses at all times in our store. In case you did feel not too good during the day, you could go up to the nurse and she'd check you out, and if she thought you had to go home, she'd give you a slip to bring back to the manager, and then you would be dismissed. And if you needed a ride home, they would take you home. So we
Nice.
did have, and we did get discount on our clothing and furniture all through the store. It first started at 10%, then it went up to 15% off, and then it went up to 20.
Like 2
So
days.
it was very good.
How about you?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Lorraine was talking about the perks with the nurses, and if you didn't feel well, that's one aspect of how Beatrice took very
Yeah.
good care of her employees. The most important thing for me at 18 years old was the 20% discount.
Yes.
Yeah, that was,
I
you
know.
know, I don't recall a nurse's station or what have you, but definitely it was a perk to have the 20% off.
Okay. The next question is, what was it like dealing with the customer? Is there one story that stands out, Miss Lorraine?
Oh, the customers were all pretty nice, but I do remember, it wasn't in my department, but up in the hat department, we had a very bad snowstorm, and nobody was on the road, but we stayed open, so we all tried to make it in. So a customer came in, and one of the sales clerks said to her, "You had to be crazy to come out on a day like this." And of course, that got up to Mrs. Orbeck, and I think that that associate was fired.
Fire.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I don't have any specifics as far as customers go. It was a very busy store. There was not a lot of downtime, you know, but not a specific customer-related story.
Okay. And this question is for you, Miss Lorraine. What was life like for women in the late 50s?
Well, it was, like I said before, we came to work, we came home. There was nothing about women's lib in those days, so we just did our dutiful things that we were supposed to do. The husband was the head of the family, and we did everything else. He paid the bills, though. That was good.
And what about you, Miss Amy, in the 80s?
Yeah, in the early 80s, like I said, I was 18 years old, so I didn't really have any obligations to consider except for my own self.
Okay, thank you. And the last question is for both of you. What can you tell us strategies that the company used to encourage employees?
The strategies?
Well, we did have contests, you know, against each department who would sell the most. And also we, to open up new accounts, we would get $5 for every account we opened up. So that was a go-getter, give us a little extra money. And we did have contests too, each department.
Good. What about
Yeah,
you?
and some of
It
the
was
other soft
always-
skill things were the fashion shows
Yes,
and
oh, yeah.
the models that would come in
Right.
and being able to eat in the Connecticut room or the, you know, those types of things.
Thank you for your answers.
Okay, thanks.
Good morning. My name is Mary Prissy. I'm come from Haiti. I have 3 questions for you. And my first one is for Miss Lorraine. How did the employees learn that J. Fox would join with May companies?
Well-
And how did employees feel about this?
Mrs. Orbeck has always, when she had something special to tell us, she was on the mezzanine, and all the associates were on the main floor. We all were told to gather there, and she told us the news. And we didn't know a thing about it, and we were kind of, we were very quiet for a few minutes, and then we knew she was still going to be part of the store, so we didn't take it to heart too badly. No. We weren't happy about it, though. But seeing she was still going to be there and the store was still G. Fox, we accepted it.
Okay, thank you. And the last question is for both of you. Did you ever think that the merger would mean the end of J. Fox Empire?
Never. Never, never, never. We never even heard about it. But although they were reducing, they took away like the specialty shop, they took away the fur department. They were reducing departments, but we never thought the store was going to close. We just thought it would stay on a smaller level.
Okay. What about me, Miss?
Yeah, I wasn't part of that transition, so I don't have any memory of that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you for answering our questions.
Thank you.
Welcome.
It was very interesting to get all this information. Now, we want to know what were some things that made you feel special working at GFAX. What about you, Miss Amy?
I think that because the store was so beautiful, you felt proud to work there. We established friendships with the people we worked for. I mean, I remember I met Lorraine again for the second time last year, many years after working here, and I still remembered her. Yeah, I went
That's
right
great.
up to
That's
her
great.
at a wedding, and I'm like, did I work with you at G Fox? So there were connections that were made, and there are other people that I remember. So it was everybody was very cohesive, It was a great working environment. There were no slackers. You knew you had to work, and others, knew as well. So.
Thank you, Ms. Amy. What about you, Ms. Lorraine?
Yes, we were like a family. If someone didn't show up, we'd always go down to the department and ask if they knew what happened, why they didn't show up. I made the best friends working in G Fox. I do have to say that.
And I don't know if you remember, but there was a department, an office called the contingents office.
Yes.
So if somebody didn't
Show
up
up.
for work, the contingents office would be called, and they would send, like a floating employee. So it was
That's
always
great.
covered. No department was ever unattended to.
Yes.
All right. We read that people felt special when they walked into GFAX. Why did people feel that way?
Because it was such a unique store. They just felt special themselves just coming in. And it was so, like Amy said, decorated, so beautiful. And they'd go to the to the cafeteria and have something to eat, or they'd go to the Connecticut room where models were going around as they ate with the special dresses and sportswear, designer ones.
Yeah, you don't see any of that now
you
in the
don't
box
see
stores.
that, no.
All right.
My last question is, do you feel nostalgic being in the GFAX building after all these years? And if you had to do it all over again, would you like to work for GFAX?
Oh, definitely. I don't think I would have left it. I think I still would stay today if they would let me, if it was still open.
I'm very happy
But
here.
I loved every minute of it. And now I do feel, I was looking around when I came in, where the elevators were. Well, they're still there. That they didn't remove. And the escalators, they're still there too.
The two that we came
the
up
two
on.
we came up on. But at the front of the store, I can remember where the jewelry was, the hosiery, the makeup. Oh, it's unbelievable.
Thank you.
You're
How about you, Miss
Well,
Amy?
as she's talking, I mean, I can kind of, in my mind, walk the floors.
Yes.
Obviously, you have special floors like the makeup and the perfume and, the columns that were downstairs and how beautiful, and the first escalator going up and then brought me to my floor. But you had your areas that you were really interested in seeing and going to, So I can see it in my head now as we talk.
I can too,
Yeah.
Amy. Yeah.
Okay, well, on behalf of the ESL classes, we want to thank you for sharing your time, your experiences with us. We'd also like to thank to the media, to the Hartford Heritage Project, and our professors, Jennifer Thomason and Professor Schuyler. We feel privileged to be part of the history of this building, and you are awesome both. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. It was
It was
fun.
my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.